Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Ohioan podcast. Craig Schaub here with Bob Garver, our New York City film critic. Bob is here. We had a layoff last week as you were on vacation, but we are back at it in the throes of Oscar season. It's holiday movie releases are coming up here. We had a big action blockbuster last week in Black Adam, and that is our first movie. Bob, we've got Dwayne Johnson in the lead role here, a movie that he's been trying to get off the ground for better part of a decade. Was it worth the wait?
I am sorry to say that it was not. Um, this superhero, supposedly he's different because he's quick to kill people, and he has to learn,
Sure.
uh, over the course of the movie that maybe killing everybody isn't the right idea. Um, but the plot is such a mess
Yeah.
with all this backstory and exposition to the character. His charisma just gets swallowed alive, which is a shame because he's about as charismatic an actor as you'll find in this world.
Right.
But Black Adam is just a mess. They're constantly throwing characters at you that don't affect the plot. A lot of the humor falls flat. And again, I really want to like this movie. Casting The Rock or Dwayne Johnson as a superhero, it should be a slam dunk. In a way, he already played a superhero in that League of Super Pets movie
Right.
earlier in the year, which I thought was a lot better than this.
Right.
But I can't say I cared for this movie.
Well, it sounds like that maybe a movie like this, maybe a character like this might be better served as a secondary piece to a larger movie, like sort of how like I envision Thor in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where he's a really good character when you put him in with a bunch of other characters that are also good or maybe can do other things. But in a standalone setting, not the biggest Thor fan. Is that sort of maybe would Black Adam maybe benefit from being a foil to another character? Like I know some people have thought about Shazam because he does kind of derive his powers the way Shazam does. Obviously, there's a spoiler out there for for this movie about who he could go up against in future settings. But do you see Black Adam more as a character like that, or can he be a standalone movie guy that just needs a little bit better attention to detail with better writing, better direction?
Well, he should be a standalone movie guy. I mean, Dwayne is a leading man.
Right.
He's not really an ensemble player. I suppose I could see him, in a team up with Zachary Levi or the individual that you're alluding to as like half of a duo. I
Right.
could maybe see that the way he teams up with Kevin Hart so much. But he wouldn't be good getting buried in an ensemble
Okay.
piece.
So, what's your final grade here for Black Adam?
C minus.
Okay. Are you hoping to see more in the future? Just maybe sort of a change of like something, maybe rebooting it a little bit after this failed experiment, or if you never see another Black Adam movie again, would you be okay with that?
Well, now that all the backstory and exposition is out of the way, maybe the next movie he can be better if they let him focus on his wit a little bit more.
Okay. All right, fantastic. Well, we kind of shift gears here a little bit from the action epic and superhero movie to Ticket to Paradise, a romantic comedy starring two pillars of their generation, Julia Roberts and George Clooney. Bob, this a nice pairing, obviously, two fantastic actors, fan favorites. What did you think of Ticket to Paradise?
Didn't go for Ticket to Paradise. It's true that George Clooney and Julia Roberts are charismatic leads. their chemistry, in a way, I felt was too perfect.
Okay.
Now, when I say too perfect, I don't mean actually funny. I mean that both of these are clearly professional actors who know how to play off their scene partner.
Right.
It's actually almost kind of distracting how well they know how to bicker with each other without yeah, it's too smooth. It's not natural.
Right. Okay.
Um,
Obviously, we've seen both actors in more dramatic roles. I actually really kind of prefer George Clooney in those dramatic roles. I know a lot of people kind of prefer him in this. I mean, are Clooney and Roberts maybe have they aged themselves out of certain roles, and this is the kind of stuff that maybe they have to do? I mean, how do you kind of assess why maybe these two terrific actors find themselves in a movie that may not be that good?
um, well, two possible reasons: one, money;
Sure.
um, two, um, the uh, film takes place in a absolutely gorgeous part of Bali.
Okay.
Yes, so
That
perhaps
helps.
the location shoot
Yeah.
endeared them to this project because
Certainly.
it wasn't the script.
Right.
It wasn't that this was you know a sharp or challenging script, but free vacation to Bali out of it.
Yeah, definitely. You have a final grade here for Ticket to Paradise?
C minus.
Okay. All right. Well, I know it's November, but we are going to follow up on a couple of horror movies that came out. Pray for the Devil. This is something that I'm not all that familiar with. Can you tell us a little bit about this movie?
This movie is about a woman who tries to become the first female exorcist in the Catholic Church because she has a personal connection to a possessed child.
And does is this a movie that works? I mean, is it? I know we've talked about horror movies in the past. How does this movie kind of stack up? I mean, what did you think?
It comes closer to working than I thought it would because this was originally supposed to open in the spring and it got pushed back. So it became one of those movies where, I had to keep seeing the trailer for like 6 months because they kept moving the release date. So I got sick of the trailer. And I mean, this is a typical modern horror film. Lots of jump scares,
Mhm.
uh, kind of a mopey atmosphere. But the jump scares are kind of effective at some points, and I did get a serious laugh at one point out of a pause. It
Okay.
wasn't a no well delivered punchline, but a well delivered pause.
Okay. Well, and I think for moviegoers maybe that are looking for one last scare, maybe before Thanksgiving, does this bring the scares? I mean, is there enough scares maybe to hold an audience member's attention, or is this something that people should skip?
If you're looking for jump scares, I guess this is an okay movie, but I give this movie a C. If people want one last scare, I would suggest going to our fourth movie,
Okay.
which
Well,
is Halloween Ends.
yeah, fantastic transition. Obviously, now I have to admit, Bob, here, I have very little interest in the Halloween series. I'm not even sure how many Halloween movies there are at this point, Bob. Um, Not really into the slasher movies so much, but tell us a little bit about Halloween Ends. I mean, is this potentially the last Halloween movie, and is it worth an audience member's time?
Well, supposedly this is going to be the last Halloween movie. I they've done this with franchises before. Say it's the
Right,
last one, and it's not.
right.
But this one actually departs from Michael Myers for its first half, focusing on a new character,
Mhm.
um, a male babysitter who uh, accidentally has an accident with a child and is basically turned into a monster by the town of Haddonfield, Illinois. Um, And by the end of the movie, he's a slasher just like Michael. Um, and both he and Michael Myers go up against Laurie Strode, played by Jamie Lee Curtis.
Okay.
And she insists that this is going to be her final Halloween movie. Again, we'll see.
Right.
But I actually like that this movie was willing to go in such a unique direction.
Sure.
Um, this is the third Halloween movie in the David Gordon Green continuity,
Right.
and I think much like Halloween 3 from uh, I would say uh, the original continuity. I think that this movie is eventually going to gain a cult following, and people are going to appreciate
Mm.
that it went in a different direction,
Sure.
much like Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, not appreciated in its time, but appreciated for being different down the road.
Okay. So, obviously you're saying that, this movie is sort of, I guess, introducing a new character in this universe, a new potential Michael Myers type, slasher. Is that? I mean, do you like that, or I mean, it sounds like it's a pretty unique idea where maybe this will end the Halloween franchise, but maybe spawn a new franchise. Is that kind of how you see it, or was it just a sort of a one-off kind of creation? And
This will this will be a one-off,
okay,
but but yeah, it works as a one-off.
okay. Well, what's your final grade here for Halloween Ends?
B minus. I think it was one of the better um, scary movies this Halloween season. The real winner, however, for the Halloween season, I must say, was Pearl,
Okay,
the
yeah,
sequel to X from earlier in the year.
sure.
Tremendous performance by Mia Goth. That one wins the Halloween season, as far as I'm
Okay,
concerned.
fantastic. Well, I mean, there you go. If you're looking for one last Halloween scare, maybe check out Pearl. Okay, so Bob, what do you have coming up next week? I know we're kind of knee deep here in November. We've got some big releases coming. What do you have coming up in next week's show?
Well, next week, basically, I only have one movie, the anime One Piece film Red.
Okay,
But in 2 weeks, uh, we'll have Black Panther: Wakanda Forever,
right,
which
right,
I could very easily see being the biggest movie of the entire year.
yeah,
Also, the early Oscars frontrunner, The Fablemans.
awesome. Oh, great. Steven Spielberg back at it again, which is exciting. So fantastic. So it sounds like we got some things to talk about in the coming weeks. Bob,
Yep.
as always, I definitely appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you for having me. This is the highlight of my week.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Mooney. Welcome to what is our new Hope Interrupted podcast based on the work from our book, Hope Interrupted, that I co authored with my good friend Byron McCauley.
Hey, Jennifer, I'm looking forward to this podcast as much as I was looking forward to writing this book with you. We hope to interview some high impact folks as well as have a little fun.
We're going to cover stories of hope. To learn more about our podcast and our book, please visit www.hopeinterrupted.com.